Warren Buffett _ financial advice for young people.
Mr. Buffett, tell me how I can make $30 billion.
Start early.
Charlie has always said that the important thing is that we started making this little snowball on top of a very long hill. So, we started rolling the snowball downhill when we were very young. And, of course, the snowball. Compound interest works like a snowball made of sticky snow, because that's how it works. The trick is to have a very long hill, which means starting very young or living to be very old. I would do it exactly the same way if I were doing it in the world of investing. I mean, if I graduated from school today and had $10,000 to spend, I'd start with exchange-traded funds, ETFs. I would probably focus on smaller companies because I would be working with less money and it would be easier to miss something. In that area, Charlie has already said, it won't be like 1951, when you could flip through the pages and see all kinds of stuff that jumped out at you. But it can only be done that way. I mean, you have to buy businesses, or small pieces of businesses called stocks, at good prices, and you have to buy into good companies. In terms of saving, that advice will still be the same in 100 years. If you're interested in business, you should learn all you can about accounting by the time you're in your early 20s. Accounting is the language of business, but that doesn't mean it's a perfect language, so you need to know where it falls short. I would suggest that you learn accounting and work in a lot of businesses, whether it's part-time or not. There's nothing like seeing how a business works to help you figure out how to run one in the future. When you know what kinds of things are very competitive and what kinds aren't, and why they are that way, you can make better decisions in the future. So, if you're interested in investing, I would do a lot of reading and take accounting classes. I read a lot about investing, and I try to get as much business knowledge as I can. I would talk business with people who are in business to find out what they think makes their business work, where they have troubles, and why. I just think that you soak it up everywhere you can. If I only had a small amount of money to work with, the world of possible ideas would be much bigger than it is now. You said that the best time was from 1956 to 1969. My best time was actually before that. It was at the end of 1950, right after I met Ben Graham at age 19. Over the next 10 years, the average return was about 50% per year. And I think they did better than the Dow by 37 points per year or something like that. But I only had a very small amount of money to work with. So, I looked through a lot of businesses until I found one or two that I could put $10,000 or $15,000 into. Which was crazy because they were so cheap. And, of course, as the amount of money grew, the number of possible ideas got much smaller. It was also better to do it at that time because of how things were. But I think you can make a lot of money if you have the same background as Charlie and me, the same ideas, and the same skills. But as soon as the money starts to reach millions, many millions, the slope for expected results goes down in a very sharp way. But that's just the way things are. When you get to things where you can invest millions of dollars, you have a lot of competition, and they don't look at things the way I did when I first started. When I first started, I went page by page through the instructions. I read probably 20,000 pages in Moody's Industrial Transportation Banks and Finance Guides, and I did it twice. And, I really did look at every business. I didn't really look at some of them. Well, that's not a good way to put tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars to work. So I'd say that if you only have a small amount of money and you're really interested in the business and ready to put in the work, you can, and there's no doubt in my mind, find some things that look promising. Compared to what we will be able to do with a lot of money, the results are very high. Does it pay to go to business school? It's up to the person. Much more than the school makes a difference. Some people will benefit a lot from going to college, while others will benefit very little. I think it's not important at all that everyone go to college. We have many jobs that pay between $70,000 and $80,000 a year. So going to college is not necessary. I wasn't really interested in college myself. Yes, my dad kind of pushed me into it. He could get me to do anything, but I knew I would have fun. I liked investing, and I knew how to read about it. It's a big deal to take 4 years. What with the cost, possible loans, and everything else. And I don't think it's for everyone, but I think it's for a lot of people. It depends on what you're interested in. But you should have a reason to go, and I didn't see much of one. There's nothing better than going after what you love. I mean, I love what I do, and I've loved it for as long as I've been doing it. Charlie is just like him. We have bosses, and some of them went to business school and some didn't, so they're all different. The one thing they all have in common is that they love what they do. You have to find that in life, and some people are lucky enough to find it early on. It was just dumb luck that my father worked in the trading business. When I went to his office, there were a lot of books to read, and I became very interested in them. But, if he had been doing something else, I think I would have finally read those books, but it would have been a lot later. So, if you find something you're interested in, I think you'll do well at it, and the best part is that there's not that much competition. I mean, not many people will be running faster than you in the race you choose. And, if you haven't found it yet, you may have already found it, but if you haven't, you have to keep looking. We have over 70 people in charge. Some of them did, and some of them didn't. Charlie, there was one guy who didn't go to high school. I think he quit in the 4th grade. Mrs. B has never been to school in her whole life. And I hope you go to the furniture shop this evening when you go out. We think that today's sales will be a record.
Look at what's on those 78 acres.
It's the biggest store for home goods, with sales of about $400 million. The biggest store in the US, and it comes from $500 that a woman who has never been to school in her life has put in. I wasn't able to read or write. I mean, she was really good at what she did. And, as you know, I'm telling you a true story. She asked me to her house for dinner when she was well into her 90s. It was really strange. I had a nice house that was about 6 or 7 blocks from the shop. And when I walked into the house, I saw that the sofa, chairs, lamp, and dining room table all had green price tags hanging from them. This made her feel at home. She loved it, and she loved it her whole life. Think about what that led to. I literally cannot believe it. My dad used to quote Emerson when he said that the power that lies within you is new in nature. Basically, the power that was within was new in nature, and it made amazing things happen in just a lifetime. So find what you love to do. Don't let anything stop you after that. The worst mistakes are the ones that don't happen at all. They are mistakes that were not made on purpose. We've never lost that much money on a single purchase. We have lost as much as $10 billion in income because I didn't do things I knew I should have done. Now, the fact that I didn't buy Microsoft back in the day isn't a lost chance because I didn't know enough to make that decision. But there have been other investments where I didn't know enough to make the decision, and for one reason or another, I either didn't do it at all or did it on a small scale. I was basically sucking my thumb when I should have been writing checks, and, well, those don't show up. It doesn't say anywhere about missing chances, but I've missed some big ones. I'll take someone who just graduated from college, and if they're in good health and everything, I'll be happy to give them, probably $50,000 in exchange for 10% of all the money they make for the rest of their lives. Well, if I'm ready to give them 10% of $50,000 for 10%, they're worth $500,000 if they don't have any money, as long as they have a good mind and a good body. I was in high school 70 years ago. About a third of the time that the country has existed, and when I was in high school, I was mostly thinking about just 2 things. Cars and girls, and it wasn't doing well with girls, so let's talk about cars. But let's pretend that when we're done, I'll let each of you choose the car you want. Doesn't it sound good? You can choose any color you want, and it will be wrapped with a bow and sent to your house tomorrow. Now, what will you do if you adore that car but it is the only one you will ever own? You'll take care of it in ways you can't even imagine. Now, I'd like to say that you won't just have one car your whole life. But you will only have one body and one mind. And that's the only thing you'll get. And now both the body and mind feel great. But it has to last for the rest of your life. The most important choice you'll probably make in your personal life is probably who you'll marry. And it's very important to surround yourself and your people with people who are better than you. You will move in the same way as the people you hang out with. So, in that way, I've had a lot of good luck. I mean, I've had teachers, friends, and a partner who were all better people than I was. And I was smart enough to learn from them that life was better when you were a better person yourself. I'll tell you, if you're looking for a business partner, a life partner, or any other kind of partner, look for people who are good models for you instead of people you think you need to fix yourself. And simple rules like making customers happy, working through other people, and hanging out with people who will help you will put you on a better road than you might have been on otherwise. I think will get you so far in life that it's hard to believe.